It starts with a silence that feels alive, humming, heavy, waiting. A cup rattles against the counter as your small hands try to stop it from spilling. From the next room, you hear tones, not words, just waves of something breaking. Then a slam, a sigh, a silence that tells you everything. You freeze, waiting. The world feels too big for the sound of that door closing. You're 7, maybe 8. You don't know what anxiety means, only that your stomach hurts when voices rise. And somewhere inside, a tiny voice whispers, "If I can stay calm, maybe they won't break." So you start to build your quiet. You learn how to disappear in plain sight. You fold your fear into small smiles. You hide your panic behind patience. You become the invisible glue holding everything together. They call you mature, but no one sees the child you buried to become it. You start smiling more, speaking less. You scan faces before words, searching for signs of change. You can feel the shift before anyone says a word. The air tightens, and you brace for it. You learn that being quiet keeps you safe, so you shape yourself around other people's moods. You think it's love. You call it caring. They call it maturity. But it's fear, dressed as kindness. You trade honesty for peace until silence becomes your language. And when did safety start meaning silence? You become the peacekeeper, the quiet one who senses storms before they start. You hear a shift in tone, feel the air tighten, and without thinking, you step in to fix it. You smooth every edge, carry every silence, and call it love. But deep down, it's survival. A habit your body learned too soon. Keeping the peace feels like safety, but it's a trade no one warned you about. Every time you calm someone else, a little more of you drifts away. Because control feels safe, but it slowly steals your connection, to them and to yourself. Years pass, and the role becomes your skin. You learn to smile on cue, to offer comfort before anyone asks. At work, you fix problems no one sees. In love, you give before you're asked. People call you dependable, strong, the one they can always count on. But strength was never a choice. It was armor. You wear it so well that even you forget it's heavy. You mistake exhaustion for peace, performance for love. And the world keeps clapping, never realizing they're applauding your disappearance. You didn't become this way because you wanted control. You became this way because chaos felt unbearable. You learned that love had conditions. Stay calm, stay useful, stay small. You taught yourself that safety means silence and that your needs are dangerous. So you hide behind strength, hoping it will keep you safe from loss. But the truth is quieter than fear. You were never meant to carry what broke others. And the moment you realize that, the armor starts to crack just enough for air to get in. Now, even calm feels suspicious. Silence doesn't soothe you, it warns you. Compliments make your chest tighten. Rest feels unsafe, like you're falling behind on invisible work. You flinch at kindness, because part of you still waits for the storm. Your body remembers chaos like an old language it can't forget. You built your life around control, but peace keeps slipping through your fingers. And somewhere deep down, you start to wonder, what if calm was never the danger, only the memory attached to it? You didn't fail to grow up, you just grew up too soon. You became the adult in every room long before you were ready. You learned to comfort others while your own heart stayed untouched. You became the strong one, the reliable one, the safe place for everyone but yourself. But strength without rest turns into numbness. And one day, you look in the mirror and realize you don't know what joy feels like anymore. That's when it hits you. Survival kept you alive, but it also kept you lonely. You start to feel it. The ache you've kept buried under strength. It comes quietly, like a lump in your throat that never leaves. You remember birthdays that felt empty, words you swallowed, the nights you stayed awake just to feel safe. For years you called it coping. Now you see it was mourning, grief for the childhood you never had. Letting it surface hurts, but it's proof you're thawing. Because healing doesn't begin with fixing, It begins with finally feeling what you weren't allowed to feel. You start to talk back to the silence. You write the words you were never allowed to say. You pause before rushing to fix, letting the world stay a little messy. You begin to notice your own needs, not as weakness, but as proof that you're alive. You stop apologizing for being tired, for being human. You learn that peace doesn't come from control, it comes from truth. And every time you choose yourself, even in small ways, you're teaching your body that safety can finally exist without disappearing. Healing isn't loud, it's slow, quiet, almost ordinary. It's learning to rest without guilt, to say no without trembling. It's allowing softness where you once built walls. You begin to trust that love doesn't have to be earned, that you can be cared for without performing. Some days it still feels wrong, like you're breaking a rule you don't remember agreeing to. But that's growth. Because healing isn't about becoming stronger, it's about learning that gentleness was never weakness at all. You go back to that small child in the kitchen, the one who held their breath to keep the house from falling apart. You kneel beside them and whisper what no one ever said. You did enough. You were never meant to carry it all. You tell them they can put the cup down now, that they're safe, that it's finally over. And in that moment, something inside you exhales. The silence that once felt heavy starts to feel gentle. Because you're no longer keeping the world together. You're learning how to be held by it. Maybe healing was never about becoming someone new. Maybe it's about remembering who you were before you had to be strong. You never had a childhood, but you still have a future. One that doesn't demand perfection to feel safe. You can choose rest over readiness, softness over strength, truth over silence. You can finally breathe without waiting for the next storm. Because this time, you're not holding the world together, you're holding yourself. And that's what growing up the right way looks like.